Welcome back to ProductionTrends.com. For this tutorial, tutorial number 5 in our MIDI composition series, we're going to be adding strings to our composition. So let's take a listen, and I've actually done some work on this since we last looked at it. I'm really not liking the percussion, so I'm trying to change it up a bit, and I'm probably going to almost redo it completely, but let's take a look. And let's take off the click. So then that kind of repeats with a little bit different bass line there, and then let's listen to the B section. So now we have percussion that comes in. It's sounding a little too tribal to me, and I think I want to make it more march-like, so I'm going to change that percussion by the next tutorial. So this is where I see things going. The strings that we're going to add can be simple chords through the A section, and then kind of take more of a front seat for the B section, because the piano becomes more sustained and sparse and the bass kind of takes over, and I think the bass and the strings can be a little bit more active here. And then when the percussion comes in, it'll be kind of a restatement of the A section with just more layers and fuller. So let's do some simple block chords for the strings during the A section. And what I did was I created a string track here called String Chords, and I used the Expand 2 plugin, which everybody has. It comes with Pro Tools, and I'm using the legato pizzicato strings there. Let's look at the full name. Legato pizzicato MW. And those sound like this. So let's just do those block chords. So I'm just going to play along with it, and I'm going to put the click track back on. So this is what it'll sound like. Except without the mistake in there. So let's go ahead and record that, and that'll just be our backdrop to maybe layer a few more strings on top of that, but not really too much. I want to keep it light for the first section and then work into having the strings kind of move a bit more during the B section, and maybe even a bit more during the restatement of the A, but we'll see how that goes. So let's record. And we have our click on, and here we go. Alright, so tried to add a couple musical things in there, but for the most part we are just changing chords on the major chord changes there. So let's listen and do some edits. And first of all, I know that I want these to stay quiet the entire time. So let's drop this down here, take a look at the velocity, and do some overall edits. So we're going to select that entire clip and do MIDI real-time properties. And let's quantize at the 8th note. We'll do strength. This isn't going to matter too much, but the velocity is what we want to really flatten out here. So we're going to do dynamics to about 14, so it's going to smooth everything out so that it's all not a lot of hard hits, not a lot of soft hits, and we're also going to drop it down. So let's listen to that. So we can change this while we're listening to playback of what we just recorded. Yeah, that sounds fine there. So let's write that to track. Let's get this to stop. So that's the level that we want. We can take that away. Now let's do some single note editing. And we'll start from the beginning. And take the click off. There we go. So we see this didn't go to the right place. Let's look at that again. Oh, and I'm using pedal for this. You can see the sustain pedal MIDI in there as well. So we'll probably, let's actually move this up so we can look at that as well. Make this just a little bit smaller. The sustain pedal, we'll say medium. Small rather. And let's start from the beginning again. So we want to see all of these. On the downbeat. So that one we know we want to be longer, so we'll drag that out. And this one too, we can drag that over. And you know what? All of the notes that stay the same during the chord changes, I'm just going to delete the next note and hold them over. We'll do that for most of them. So for instance, right here, this note's the same, so we'll get rid of that, and we'll just pull this over into there. And so we'll do the same thing for this. We'll only do it on a few of them, but that way it fills in those little gaps, let's say where maybe the note isn't holding over the entire way, and since the strings are sustained, you're not going to hear too much of a difference, but the overall sound will just sound a little bit more connected. So let's look at some other places where we can do that. We can do that here, except I wanted to do this one. Pull this over. Here's one here. Pull this over here. Can do it again here. Pull that one over. Let's do it again here. So I'm kind of trading off, like doing one here, doing one there. See how this sounds. Little sustained note there. Yeah, I want that to actually go right on the downbeat there. And we're not going to have that hold that long. We'll see what we'll do with that later, but that doesn't matter so much for now. We want to look at the A section. So let's listen to this whole thing again and see if we want to change anything else. You know, they're a little loud, So let's go in here, drop this down just a little bit, maybe 3 decibels. Back to the edit window. Let's listen. Alright, so let's make that change one more time here. I'm feeling that this does not hit right on the beat, and I want them to here. And since I'm in grid mode, those pull right to the beat when I stretch them out. So let's listen to it one more time. And while we're listening, let's try to think of what other parts of the strings are missing. What else can we hear in there that's not there yet? I think we have the bass register taken care of by the bass, but the strings could have some maybe higher melody that either is in pretty close harmony with the piano, or maybe even doubles the piano at an octave higher. So let's try that actually. We're just going to copy and paste and see if that works. So we have this, and we're going to copy this track, duplicate the strings track, but delete that one. We're just going to copy the piano down into here, and we're going to delete the first one, and the second one, let's transpose it up 1 octave. Let's see how that sounds. See what I'm doing here? I'm flattening out the dynamics, finding the level that I want them to be. I think that works pretty well. Yeah, so let's right to clip, and then we're just going to edit this MIDI a little bit to maybe have it not be so active. And I already hear that I want it to not play these notes, but just sustain. Strings are good at sustaining, so we're going to sustain that. We're going to do this exact same thing here. So instead of boo da 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 be ba 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 be, it's just going to go boo da 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 be boo da da da. And this one, so we just take out some of the activity and sustain some of the notes where we think it would be nice. I like that. That's working well. Keeping it simple and just working with what we already have is always fun. And I think we want to do some harmonies here. So let's copy these. not in the key, so we bring those into the key. So all of those, what are those, D flats become C's, C sharps become C's, and all of the B's become B flats. And I do not like that at all. So let's go back to before we copied it. Let's copy it down instead. Where is that? That's at the third. So that'll be in sixths. And we'll do that. Oops. Bring those into the key. Yeah, something like that. So, and we'll take those harmonies and just drop those notes, so we can just select the MIDI that is the harmony. Actually, I want just those, and we'll drop them down so they're a little more subtle. So now everything in the strings is feeling a bit high, and we can fill that out a little bit. Let's we'll say this is string high solo, yeah. String high solo, string chords, and then we'll duplicate this, and we'll say string bass. And let's just drop this an octave, transpose down one, right to clip, and then we're just going to delete some of these notes so that we just have a bass line out of the chords that we played. So how about everything from here up, we're just going to delete. Let's actually bring these up a little bit. This one. Yeah, I want that on the 5 right there. Don't want to stay on the 3 of the key. I want to go to the 5. Yeah, so this is instantly making this sound prettier, not as funny and childlike, but now it has, you know, some fullness in it, and we can just keep playing with the strings until we get them the way we like them. So yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial, and during the next tutorial we are going to look at the form of this little piece, and we're going to make some final decisions on what we want the form to be like. And that'll include writing a bit of an intro to the music, deciding if the music goes A, B, A, B, A, B, or if there's some sort of extra kind of bridge part in there. And yeah, so stay tuned for the next MIDI Monday tutorial at productiontrends.com.